Since 1983, FAME has helped business and education work for Maine. Contact the authority, the Finance Authority of Maine.
Welcome. This is our Afterthoughts segment where we keep our guests around from our broadcast show for some extra time that you can only see on the web. It's usually more relaxed, and we try to drill down and get more, even more candid comments.
So John,
hard to slouch
were we
now.
fighting before?
We can slouch on this one. Slouch again, please. With us today we have Dane Somers, Executive Director of the Maine Lobster Promotion Council, John Hathaway, CEO of Shucks Maine Lobster, David Etnier, Deputy Commissioner of the Maine Department of Marine Resources. And of course we're talking about the lobster industry. Boy, we were all over the place, lots to talk about, but I do want to talk about kind of how our relationship, the industry's relationship with Canada, and the fact that, is it 50% of our lobsters
Roughly
end up in
50%.
Canada,
Yeah,
roughly 50%?
At times more.
Sometimes more.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? For selling them, that's good, but shouldn't we be processing them here? I don't know. Does anybody
I
want to
agree
take
with
that?
you.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Jump in. So what do you think about that?
Maine Lobster is the best brand in the world. Okay, it's even stronger than Crest toothpaste. All right, it is absolutely.
What do you mean?
As
Most
a
recognizable?
as the most
Recognizable
recognizable brand in the world. It's stronger than any other food, any other item.
Should we license it or certify it? Should it be our champagne?
We should protect
Like
it in that
France has?
sense, yes, and
Okay.
and we should be able, against, as you mentioned before, Imposter Lobster, and we should at least
Right.
understand what we're doing by giving that brand away to the Canadians, because that's what we're doing right now. We're just letting the Canadians come in and take the resource and bring it to Canada and create their jobs and create their value-added lobster products, and that's what we should be doing in Maine. It's our brand.
Yeah,
It should be our job.
This is also our U.S. of A.,
Yes.
the biggest lobster market in the world.
Absolutely.
And the Canadians export 75 to 80% of what they harvest, plus what they process of ours, right back here in our own backyard.
As a product of Canada.
And it is a product of
by
Canada
law,
because
it has
it's
to be a
processed.
product of Canada. So there's our main brand coming back as a product of Canada on the label, but
see.
everybody advertises it as Maine Lobster. So
But
what
we
are we
have
doing?
no one to blame but ourselves.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely right.
We can't.
A-
I mean,
absolutely
Canada has
right.
its separate form of government. They subsidize these various industries, which is
Right.
that's how they do things. That's
Right.
fine. But we don't have that luxury as a state, let alone a federal government, to do that sort of subsidy. But so it's an entrepreneurial thing on the state side, Maine state side, that people need to either be willing to take those risks, make the investment.
And we're doing it. I mean, I really think we've
Well,
made
talk about
great strides.
your experience. Tell the
Well, we
viewers
started
what your
out with
investment's been.
nothing. I mean, when Kristen Bailey was Dane's predecessor, she came out with a report that said, you know, people want value-added products. That's what they want. They want real food. And if you look around at every other natural resource food, when Alaska did salmon, they don't sell it with the head on anymore. When you buy lettuce in a grocery store, you don't buy a head of lettuce anymore. You buy bags and bags of specialized lettuce. That's how people eat today. And so when we looked around, we looked for innovation, we looked for technology, and how can we bring that to Maine. I did it backwards. We made a huge investment. We didn't know what we were doing. This was 5 years ago. We've been we're in our fourth year of full production right now. And every year we grow and we grow and we grow. There's no doubt that market is there for value added, and it helps everybody in the Maine lobster industry from the boats on up.
But give a sense of that the hyperbaric
High pressure processing we use, right.
You told me $3 million.
It's a $3 million investment.
For the equipment.
For the equipment, yes. And but what it does, it offers us technology. We're the only ones in the country who can do actually raw Maine lobster. We sell it all over the world.
Yep, and I think it's a great thing. It makes sense. I went to the website, I looked at it, it
Yeah.
made sense to me. First of all, the pictures look really delicious, except
Thank
for the
you.
raw ones. I mean, but the actual food looks good.
And we've won several awards. We
Yeah.
won the Best New Seafood Product Award in Brussels at the International
Where did you
Show.
Where did you get the capital? And is there other capital out there to do more of that? As we mentioned, we're not subsidizing. It's
Right,
got to be
right.
a private thing. Can others get in on this? How are we going to do that?
I think here's where I think we are. I think there's no doubt in the economy in general, capital is not as available as it needs to be,
Right.
particularly for this type of business. But the Maine brand is so strong, and Maine Lobster brand is so strong, that I do think it's a lot of people will look at this business, if we can kind of get over that hump and say, here, we're doing something different. Here are new markets that we can approach and we can be successful at.
When I talk with other business sectors, I always ask the question, when it comes to capital, do banks get what you do? Do banks understand this industry and venture
I think
capitalists
it's
and investors?
far too risky for banks.
Well, that's my
Very
question.
much, yeah.
Where's that money going to come from? Is it going to have to be venture capital?
I think venture capital, and I think there are people out
Well,
there.
and there are ways, with the recent political campaigns, everybody's
Yep.
talking about jobs, economic opportunities, providing business, opportunities
Yep.
and attracting business. as John said, we have a business right here in Maine that has tremendous growth opportunity, and we're not supporting it as a state or as a business community. And just to throw out a couple of numbers, recent analysis that we did showed that we lost $175 to $180 million in economic impact by shipping lobster to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Roughly, we ship it, they process it, which is not that difficult. We know how to do that. And they send it back to us for twice the price, back into the United States to sell. So the economic activity is taking place in Canada. And I have nothing against Canadians. I mean, they're all in the same business. They're trying to make a living. But the economic activity that takes place in Canada translates to, if we kept that all here, which is probably not doable, but at least some of it, we would keep $175 to $180 million here in Maine that would go to pay wages, would go to pay for new equipment, would go to pay for inventory and market development.
The Bean has a great brand, and she's really put a lot at risk to go out there and really develop value-added products and a brand. That's what people want. That's what consumers want. They want to know where their food comes from. With her, it's Port Clyde. She's got that, and she's putting a strong name behind it, and she's really taking a risk. The Reedy boys, they did the same thing. They catch a piece of Maine. They don't just catch lobster. They try to put it in a form that people will pay extra for and add value to that form. Calendar Island, they're doing that now. They have their co-op, and now they're going into value-added products. That's the wave of the future.
And we need
in this
innovation,
industry.
not just live lobsters being sold.
yeah,
we need
food.
innovation as
People
to what
want
that
food.
product,
Yes.
frozen things, and
Yes.
whatever the public wants
Yes.
now, we don't care. But live lobster only takes you, not as a company, but as an entity, it only takes you so far.
that's
And the
It's
Mosley
not
report
growing.
verified that,
Right,
too. They
right.
really came back with, oh my God, you're missing a whole bunch of market segments in terms of that kind of process.
In Maine,
lobster.
with live lobster, there's a portion of the year, July, thereabouts, where we have a lot of soft lobsters. They're not really that good on the marketplace. They don't hold up well.
Yep.
They're not, the demand isn't that great for that sort of lobster. So at that time of year, we actually need the Canadian hard-shell lobsters to provide the markets with the sort of lobsters they actually want, and the soft-shell ones go to get processed.
Should we be allowed to, we have, Canada can process juvenile lobsters, right?
Yeah, you got to.
Should we be allowed to?
The answer is no.
Okay.
No.
No.
Even
But-
if we
no.
don't harvest them here, we don't want to encourage that? Is
The
that?
answer
No.
on the popsicles is no.
That's my question.
Okay, because the lobstermen work very hard in this state, and they do it basically on a volunteer basis to make sure that they keep a sustainable product for the next generation. There's no doubt there's unmatched in any fishery in the world, in my opinion. So we shouldn't take those steps, but there are other steps that we could do to put us more on par from the processing end to be that we can't produce in Maine. And I think those things will be looked at in the next legislature.
I think
That's what
I certainly agree with John that the answer to handling undersized lobsters in Maine, Canadian undersized lobsters in Maine, is untenable. The lobster industry would go ballistic, never pass a legislature,
They should
and
do it. It's
oversized as
wrong.
well.
I
It's
mean,
just
we shouldn't do it.
antithetical
antithetical to the Maine conservation laws
Yeah.
and the resource. So I think that he's absolutely right about that, and there'd be no support for it.
Okay. Do they want to do this job? Do they want to do the processing work? Can they make money? How much are you paying?
Now John's gone silent.
No,
Who would have thought that? No, seriously.
I-
You have 70 folks working there. You say on a good, busy
Yep,
day, busy
yeah.
time.
and they work incredibly hard.
Yeah.
And they want to work, and they'll work as many hours as you let them, and they're anxious to come back the next day. And we're extremely fortunate to have those people work for us. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Do you have
Well,
trouble?
I'd
Do you have
say-
trouble getting the workers?
Well, do we have trouble?
When you have a ramp up period?
I won't say we have trouble, but we're very careful to reward the people who want to work hard and have a good work ethic. And unfortunately, I can't say that's everybody in the state of Maine who needs a job and should have a job. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. But there are people out there who do have that work ethic, and they'll be rewarded in
I
this
did want to
industry.
jump backwards just for 1 second. It was a thought that popped out of my mind last time I spoke. But the state of Maine, the legislature recently passed a law in this last session of the legislature that liberalized, if you will, the lobster processing laws in the state of Maine considerably. We had laws that were dated from the 70s in terms of limiting what you could sell in Maine in terms of lobster parts and the processing. There was some major changes there in terms of making that more flexible. It was brought forward, it was in that report, it was mentioned in that report. You mentioned the Mosley report. The industry, the processors supported it. It worked with the legislature and us to craft the language. And so hopefully over time that'll give some more flexibility to the processors of the state to expand their markets.
I'm going to stop right there and just say thank you all.